How are you, my viewer, wherever you are watching me from? I believe that you are well, and I want to appreciate all of you that have been following up my videos. You have been following me on YouTube. I want to say thank you so much. Even for those that have been sharing my video links with their friends and contacts, I want to appreciate. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I want to encourage you to subscribe and put on the notification bell so that you'll be getting the notification anytime I upload a new video. You'll be the first one to watch my new videos. If it is your first time to watch my videos, I want to welcome you. Continue supporting me and continue sharing my video links. Today, I want to bring you another program of Tommaso Senior Show. Today, we are going to look how we can come out of debts. I know debts is something that has affected most of people all over the world. If you talk to an average person, if you talk to them and if you ask them about what they struggle with, they're going to tell you they struggle with the debts. Talk of nations. We have got countries that are struggling with the debts, individuals struggling with the debts. And how can we come out of this entanglement? How can we come out of this debt thing? Today I'm going to give you points or ways of how we can come out of these debts. And we have seen that this is something that has affected most people, even you that is watching me today. I'm very sure in one way or the other, debt thing is affecting you. You are either into it, or you are struggling to come out of it, or you know someone that is into debts, or you are planning of how you can get into debts. And in this case, I'm talking about borrowing money, borrowing finances, borrowing money. There's something that is very interesting here. There's something that is interesting that the Bible is talking about. And in this case, I'm going to refer to the book of Proverbs, chapter number 22, verse 7. Now, there's something I want you to know. Once you start borrowing, or when you become a borrower, you automatically become a slave of the person that is lending you, or the person you are borrowing from. Let us read. The Bible says, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So once you start borrowing, you become a servant to the person that is lending you. Once you start borrowing, you become a servant. Automatically, I know most of us might disagree, others may agree. Others will agree, others will not agree. They will disagree. But you are being told here that the rich rules over the poor. In this case, those people that have got financial power, those people with financial muscles, they rule over those individuals that don't have money. So automatically, when you that is poor, you that is lacking, you that has insufficiency, you become their slave. And the borrower is servant to the lender. You become a servant. In other words, you become a slave, because anytime you get money, you'll be thinking of how you can pay off what you owe to the other people, or to the other persons, other institutions, other banks, other microfinances and circles, etc., etc. So today I'm going to show us, or I'm going to share with us, some of the things that you can do to come out of this bondage of borrowing. Because you know, once you are there, you are into bondage. You are fighting to come out of it. So I'm going to show you a few points or a few things that you can do to come out of that bondage. Now, I believe that I'm talking to individuals that are in one way into debts. Now we are living in this age whereby we've got these digital platforms that you can borrow from. In other words, Borrowing has been placed into our hands through these mobile phones and the apps that they can be installed into their phones. So you can easily borrow, you can easily access the money. So you can easily entangle yourself. You can easily make yourself a slave. I know of individuals that are struggling to pay off their debts, to pay off money that they borrowed from somewhere. These financial apps, you know them, mobile phone apps that you can borrow. You can instantly borrow money and you get the money instantly. And some apps are not good because they overcharge you in terms of interest. Their interest rates are so high that by the time you finish clearing the debt that you have, you'll have spent an extra coin on top of that. And once you are late in paying off the debt, there is that penalty that gets charged to you. If you are there and you are one amongst thousands, if not millions, of those people that are struggling with the debts, I'm going to show you how you can get out of that. Now, the first point that I'm going to tell us, or the first point that I'm going to share with us is, one, you need to desire in your heart not to borrow. I know some individuals will argue and they will say that everyone is struggling with the debts, their countries are struggling with the debts, everybody cannot survive without debts, and in others, you cannot survive with the debts. That is what they're going to argue. But you have seen that if you are a borrower, you become a slave. You become a servant to the lender. Talk about financial freedom. You cannot say that you are financially free when you still have debt, when you still owe people, when you still owe individuals, when you still owe institutions money. You have not been financially liberated. Your financial muscle is still weak. You're not financially able to meet your needs. You are still struggling. You need to desire in your heart not to borrow. Number one, desire in your heart not to borrow. Once you've got that desire in your heart, I'm very sure when you come to think of borrowing, your heart and your mind will tell you no. When an individual approaches you and asks you to borrow, you'll have the guts and the strength to tell them no. Because I'm sure if I ask you how you ended up borrowing money, I'm very sure some of our friends introduced us to these platforms that we can borrow money from. Number two, the second point that we are going to look at is write down the people or institutions that you owe. You need to write down. Now you are struggling, you are fighting hard, you are thinking of ways of how you can come out of the debt thing. You are thinking of how you can get out of debts. The second point is write down all the people that you owe. Write down all the institutions, all the banks, all the microfinances, all the apps that you owe them. I know you've come to a place whereby you have realized that you don't want to borrow again, you don't want to become a slave. You desire to be liberated from the financial chain. Now the second point is write down all the institutions, all the places, all the people that you owe them. After doing that, we get to number three. Give yourself a duration to clear your debts. Give yourself time. Give yourself a certain duration that you're going to clear off your debts. Now, somebody once said that when you find yourself in a mess or in a pit, you stop digging. If you find yourself in a pit, stop digging. When you find yourself in a financial mess, don't continue getting into that mess. It is time that you stop and you think, You critically think, you analyze of how you can come out of that mess or out of that prison. Because you see, borrowing will lead into financial prison. You can desire that you're going to strategize that come the next year, coming a certain year, or you give yourself a certain year, 1 year, a certain duration of time. Let's say 1 year, according to the debts that you have, you can give yourself like 1 year to clear off your debts. And once you give yourself that time or that duration, I'll ask you not to borrow. Strategize on how you're going to clear off your debts. And once you clear yourself, in that period of time, you don't borrow again. The fourth point is to come up with a strategy of coming out of the debts. You need to sit down, you need to inquire from people that are knowledgeable about finances on ways of how you can get out of the debt thing. You can write down some of the ways that you can get out of the debts. Now, in this case of strategizing on how you can get out of debts, the first thing you can do is you can start by paying off debts of less money. You cannot pay off some debts once because you will again get into financial mess. So you can decide that you're going to pay off debts that are of less money. Let's say you own a certain institution 10,000. You cannot pay off the debts or the debt once. So what you can do, you can decide to be paying a certain percentage of every money that you are going to get. Or you can decide that every month you'll be paying like 1,000 bob, 1,000 shilling every month until you come and clear. Then after doing that, you'll do away with that thing. And then after clearing all the debts of less money, you need again to come up with a way of how you're going to clear debts with a higher figure or a higher amount of money. I'm talking to individuals. I know I'm talking to individuals that have got loans or debts, small debts, but many. Many institutions. They owe many institutions. But if you look at the amount of money that they have, it's less money, like 2,000, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000. Those less amounts of money. So you need to come up with a way of doing away with that. The most important thing, and the fifth thing, this one is going to help you. Now in this case, we shall say, have an extra source of income. Have an extra source of income. And here, you should not depend only on one source of income. What will help you to get off debts is having an extra source of income. Don't depend on one source only. When you are employed, you can decide the salary that you're going to get is going to meet your basic needs, your daily needs. Something like rent, foodstuffs, transport, school fees, etc. Suppose you've got a side hustle, you can decide that the little money that you'll be getting, little by little, you clear off the debts little by little by little by little until you come to do away with that. Before I come to conclusion, or before I come to a closure of today's topic, I want us to read the book of 2 Kings, chapter number 4, verse 1 to 7. Remember, you're not the first one to have debts. You're not the first one to borrow money from people, from institutions, from banks, from microfinances. You're not the first one. Now, what I'm going to sensitize on is verse number 7. You can read it on your own. 2 Kings, chapter number 4, verse 7, whereby we read, "Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go, sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons live on the rest. There is a man there that had died. Then his creditor went to his house, and he went there with the intention of taking away his children to go and serve him as slaves. Then the wife of the man that had died went to the servant of God, and the servant of God told her what she was supposed to do. There's that oil that she was to sell and pay off the debt that her late husband owed the creditor. After doing that, she was supposed to live on the rest. She was supposed to live without paying off any debt. She was to live financially liberated. So you cannot be financially liberated if you are still owing some people some cash or some money. So I believe we have learned something there. Let it be our desire, let it be my desire and your desire, my viewer, to come out of debt and borrowing. The most important thing of all is also to pray. I know you are watching this video and you are a believer. You believe in religion, so pray. Pray to God, ask Him to deliver you and to help you to get out of debt, out of debts. Pray that that embargo of debts can be destroyed. I've talked to individuals. Someone tells you that they earn a lot of money, salary. When you talk about their salary, they earn a lot of money. But they have been entangled into debt. They cannot come out of that. They owe institutions a lot of money. They owe. If you tell them if they can come out of that, they tell you it's hard. Some people don't understand how that happens. Look at their payslip. They're earning a lot. They're earning a lot of money. But every time they keep on borrowing. Come to that realization that that is a spirit and that is an embargo. And desire to come out of that. So I believe that the points that I've shared with us are of help to you. If you execute, if you implement what we have shared, I'm sure you're going to be financially liberated. Remember, you are not free until you are financially free, until you are debt free. Desire to clear off the debts. Thank you for joining me. If you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe and share my YouTube video links with your contacts and your friends, and I will really appreciate. Thank you so much. Karibu sana, karibu tena, karibu ndani ya Tomaso Senior Show. See you on my other program.